Hello, welcome back to Seawolf's Den. I'm Crafting Ron. I'm doing a little bit of a different type of video this time. There is some crafting involved, but it's mostly 3D printing, and it's involving a craft I previously did my last video. I am crafting right now 3 adventures for Mythic Con 2025. Hopefully I'll release this video afterwards or really close, so it doesn't give a lot away. But there are 3 adventures, all of them in the Savage Worlds rule set, in a science fiction setting or a sci-fi type modern setting. This is my system of choice. I think it flows best for my style of game mastering. The first adventure is going to be my Star Frontiers adventure. Star Frontiers is an old game from the 80s. TSR released it. It was a science fiction game, and it really was my first real role-playing game that I embraced. I was a child of science fiction. I enjoyed that more than fantasy, although I played some fantasy. It's just I like sci-fi better. And so with Star Frontiers, I'm going to use that Kit Bash ship of the Millennium Falcon that I did, and I'll throw up pictures for it. And I'm going to make that the goal of the adventure. The characters have to infiltrate the pirates, or a pirate base, or a pirate cove, because I think I called it the Pirate Cove, and it's a space pirate cove, and they have to infiltrate it, get to the ship, steal something from the ship, and get out. So really a short adventure. And what I try to do for one-shots at conventions is have kind of an introductory challenge, and it may or may not be combat. So for instance, getting to the cove and infiltrating the pirate culture there and making sure that they don't blow their cover, because they're working for somebody that's not pirates. We'll just say that, because I don't know who they are going to be. And then get into the ship and then fight their way out. So there's really 3 phases. Real simple adventure. 4 hours can go pretty fast. For miniatures for the Star Frontiers, I have those. Probably stick with those. And the ship is already done, so that's really all I need. I'll just use other crafts that I have as background. That's my plan for the first adventure. The second adventure, Saturday night, is my special setting that I have created for Savage Worlds, and those of the Gen X generation will know what a lot of this is. I call it Savage 80s. I take all of the shows that I loved and smash them all together into one setting. And I'll pull in some 3D printed crafts, those of us old enough to remember. V and V the Final Battle, and V the series. Here are the bad guys. Basically, Nazi lizards from space. They're the bad guys. The good guys and the players are characters from a lot of the old 80s shows. Now, yeah, everybody has great suggestions for 80s shows, but I'm going to tell you up front that regardless of what they may be, the one criteria is I have to like this show. I'll lay these out on camera. We start with, and not all the members are here, because one team is large. It's the A team. So I took out 2 of their members are captured by the visitors. So I have left Hannibal and Murdoch. Those are the first 2 characters. If you don't know who these people are, I'm sorry. You ask your dad. These 80s shows were iconic, and there's been nothing like it since. Along with that, we have MacGyver. We also have, of course, Michael Knight, and oh yes, wait for Knight Rider. And then, even better, I have Stringfellow Hawk from Airwolf. Now these all were done with Hero Forge, and I was able to get a lot of these pretty close to what I think they would look like as a miniature. This is a lesser known show that not many people remember, Manimal. That can turn into 3 different animals: panther, hawk, and a snake. Because this is a lot of testosterone going on here, I threw in Bionic Woman. If I get more players than I planned on, I do have a few extras directly from V. I have Juliet Parrish. With those characters, of course, we have the vehicles, and this is what makes this game very challenging. I've done 2 adventures in this already. We have, no, I painted this wrong, I know, but so the A-Team van, which I 3D printed. As far as I'm concerned, it was black, all black, with except for the red stripe. And I also 3D printed Kit from Knight Rider. That's not all. This is the hardest one to transport, but I did print out Airwolf, and it's already broken in places. I'll have to figure out a way to fix that. These are all pretty close to scale at 28 millimeter. One of the things I recently printed and also now realized I have to fix. I'm not entirely sure this is actually to scale. It's pretty close. Blue Thunder. Kind of wanted to have that brought in, and I have not. 2 adventures I've run. First one, part 1, took place in the Appalachians near Asheville because I ran the adventure at Asheville and I decided to make it local. And they will just say thwarted a visitor plot. I do steal some of the stuff from the series because it kind of left things kind of hanging, and I kind of like to be complete with my setting. So they thwarted a visitor plot as part of their second attempt to take Earth. The second adventure, which was supposed to be a lot bigger than it was, or it turned out to be, was they went and rescued B.A. Baracus from captivity. He was captured by visitors. Like Templeton Peck from the A-Team is also captured. The team that supported Knight Rider was captured. Stringfellow Hawk's partners, Santini, he's also captured. Steve Austin. Bionic Man is actually also captured. And so I've made that part of the story up front. Plan is for them to discover in the beginning that the visitors are building countermeasures against their forces. So the new Skyflyer that I'm printing out is going to be black, and it's going to, of course, that's kind of the 80s way of saying, ooh, it's different, it's new, it's more powerful. And that's going to give Airwolf an idea, oh, they're building better Skyfighters to counter my efforts. And of course, over time, that's going to happen. They're going to learn from their mistakes, and that'll be like quick adventures in the beginning, or quick encounters in the beginning. Those that don't know, Savage World has a mechanic for quick encounters. Meanwhile, the other more ground-based characters, A-Team, MacGyver, and Manimal, they're going to go off and discover also that there's some experimentation going on with cloning and genetic engineering. So I hope to lead that adventure into a series of crafts that I have already, and they assault this base. And I'll hope to put together a nice layout of that and put that in the video. Just to do a plug for a pretty dang good miniature source is Crooked Dice out of the UK. They have visitors that are not visitors, miniatures that you can buy. They have visitor miniatures that they call alien invaders or something along those lines. They look just like them. I also bought their Jeep. Here's a nice little mini craft. One of the things they did provide with these was alternate heads. For those that don't know, visitors are actually lizards, like I said, with fake skin over the top to look human. They came to trick us. Watch the show. Well, the alternate heads were the lizards, and I said, I'm not going to put them on those things. I'm going to take Mage Knight or Hero Click. Really, it was Hero Click. And I put the visitor heads, which you can't really see, and put them on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and various others. I think I have one that is Punisher. And I hope to use these. My autofocus is not that great. I hope to use these as the genetic engineer super soldier. They're taking genetics from their former teammates and then kind of integrating them into other or super soldiers that might be, say, immune to the red dust. For those that don't know that, that is one of the weapons we've used against the visitors to try to get rid of them. Unfortunately, it didn't entirely work. Like I said, go watch V the Final Battle from the 80s, and you can watch a little bit of like the first 2 or 3 episodes of the series if you can find it. So the struggle I've had with 3D printing, though, is I have nothing but Ender 3s, and I struggle with them on a daily basis. So I got a partial print here that just died due to clogging. Have a rear end that is basically complete, and an incomplete that I did yesterday that just pissed me off. So I'm putting together a couple more ships. I printed this. It's roughly to scale to the Knight Rider. It's not the best print, it's not the best model, but it'll work. I put a Mage Knight base on it because it is a hover vehicle. This was my first complete, well, it's not totally complete because I'm going to put some detail on it. I'm going to put some red on it to kind of give it the Knight Rider look, and this is going to be the Advanced Visitor Knight Rider hybrid that he's going to get chased by. And I'm hoping, based on the quick encounters, I'm hoping that Airwolf Knight Rider might come out with some damage, and they have to kind of work on their own for a little while. Not that I want to take out Airwolf too badly, but Airwolf is one of the most powerful things in the game, and yeah, I brought it in, so it's my own fault, but I want to kind of make it questionable, and maybe even force him to use an alternate helicopter. Third and final adventure is based on my own setting that I'm writing. I hope to be published, called Blood and Sons. An alternate history where the Axis powers had won the war. We're set in 2099. It's kind of, the best way I describe it is the Man in the High Castle meets the Expanse. Smash those 2 shows together and you've got Blood and Sons. That's another adventure that I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of crafting for, but I'm still kind of working on the adventure, and it's way out there. Let's just say I've watched a lot of Y-Files. I've watched a lot of Ancient Aliens, and that's what inspires my adventures in that. If you don't know what Y-Files is a YouTube channel that is outstanding and so fun to watch. I recommend it if you like kind of conspiracy story. One of my main plot points in this adventure for Blood and Sons is something called the Black Knight Satellite. You look that one up. It is a thing. It is a rabbit hole that I love. And here's a picture that I asked AI to draw. What would it look like? I'm involving that and other things. Of course, the miniatures the characters we'll be using are from Hero Forge. I made all 6 of these using Hero Forge. The Blood and Sons adventure I have almost complete because I have to have that complete. I'm running a playtest of that in a week. I just don't have characters, and I'm making characters for that. That's what I'm doing so far. I'm going to kind of track my progress as I go along, kind of just spitballing right now, but I wanted to video it to kind of give you an idea of what I go through. I like to lay out what I want it to look like prior to the convention, so I'll take some pictures of that. So, until next time. So this is the setup for the Star Frontiers game that I'm going to run at Mythic Con. It's Savage Worlds rule set, but it's in the setting of a version of Star Frontiers that I've kind of developed over the years. Star Frontiers is an old science fiction game. Early 1980s. It's, I guess, what you could call the second science fiction role-playing game to ever come out, perhaps. The first being Traveller. And this was TSR's answer to Traveller, but also different. And I liked it better than Traveller. Traveller kind of spoke to more of the engineer minds, and I like more of a Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, a Star Trek kind of world. This kind of combines all of those, and it's very malleable. What I mean is you can make it your own. And I like the system at the time, but now I like Savage Worlds better. And we're just going to do a simple, very Star Frontiers typical adventure with pirates. These guys will be working for a faction. It might be Starlaw, it might be a corporation. Not sure. It's going to be loosely connected to one of the first adventures they ever put out. It was a whole story arc involving the planet Volturnus, and there were some pirates. They have a hidden base. We're going to go with that and kind of expand on it, make it even more intrigue-based and fun. Characters will get to a pirate cove, a hidden pirate cove. They want to break into a ship that has coordinates for the pirate base. Starlaw wants it because they want to take out the pirates, obviously. And I based it strictly on the ship that I made in the previous video, which is what I'm calling the Midnight Blue, or Blue Midnight, one or the other, I can't remember which. Kind of a kit-bashed Millennium Falcon with internals. So there it is. There's where it stands. They have to infiltrate a pirate cove where this ship is docked. We'll have the lights on, which you probably can't see. Given that premise of infiltrating, 1, a pirate base, 2, pirate ship, and then getting off. So I'll give them their own ship, and they're not going to dock right next to the pirates, of course. Pivoted away from using that particular craft, that particular ship for this adventure, and instead decided to use this map. It was just easier to transport, and I'd already had a lot of stuff being transported, and it ended up being sacrificed for the sake of space. That's something I built from a kit provided by Impudent Mortals. This is not a shameless plug because they're no longer a company, and unfortunately, due to the death of its proprietor, good friend, he made very inexpensive terrain out of MDF and a laser cutter, and this is one of the biggest ones he had. If you watch my videos, you know that I have a seemingly endless supply of little woodies, and those are out of kits like this. They're just leftovers, and I like to use those as well. So given that they're on board this ship, and they'll see it, but there won't be much of an encounter with this one, I don't think, at first. If they run, if they try to get back to it and are chased, then the encounter will be there. So what I'll do is I'll probably place a couple of other ships just to show off a little of my work in the hangar, other ships, and then they have to get past them as well. Even though they may not be allied with this pirate, they definitely don't like people messing around. Not only that will they have to deal with this pirate ship and its pirates on board, which I'll use. I have a stack of old Star Wars miniatures that don't scream Star Wars. So they'll be the pirates, and they'll be inside and out elsewhere. But the characters will have to figure out how to infiltrate. I've got an idea for that. Plant some ideas, and what they don't know is there's some politics behind that, and they'll have to deal with not only the pirates on board the ship, but they'll also have to deal with competing pirates, and a big battle will ensue in the hangar, and they'll have to run to get to their own ship, which won't be close. The Pirate Cove, or we're calling the Black Scar Anchorage, is a asteroid with the whole pirate base kind of cut out inside it. That's where they got to fly to, somehow get past their patrols, dock, find the Blue Midnight, and then infiltrate, steal the astrogation information, and get out. That's it. It's a real simple adventure, and I want to keep it as simple as possible. Now, the catch to all of these is, and I think I mentioned it previously, I wrote this with the assistance of AI. So I went and said, I need a Star Frontiers adventure themed with the ship, which actually uploaded a picture where the characters have to infiltrate and get out. It gave me names, it gave me NPCs, and it gave me more ideas. Did I use the whole thing? No, I have added some complications. This is really the only setup for the Star Frontiers adventure. If they want to, we may have a boarding situation with this one, which you can do. I'll show you the internals there. I really do miss this guy. I really miss his work. As you can tell, that's engineering. And then this actually opens up, and then so does the side doors, which I forgot it did this. And that's the cargo bay, and this is also the gangway. This comes out too, which might be stuck. Oh, there it goes. Bridge or pilot seat, whatever, is up top. Okay, so that's my plan for Savage Star Frontiers. Looking at this, it's going to be a lot to carry. I'm going to have a tub and some foam to make sure nothing gets broken. The other two adventures won't have as much. We'll see. I'm thinking about how that's going to work out. 80s will have smaller stuff, and then we'll see. No, that's right. I'm going to have a fort. I forgot about that. So we'll have to it'll be a couple of tubs. So that's number one. For the 80s game, I had planned to have it take place in the area called 10,000 Islands off the coast of Florida, near the Everglades. In part inspired by the book V, the Florida Project by Tim Sullivan, I wanted to make the main contacts for this mission Crockett and Tubbs from Miami Vice. I wanted to put a kind of Miami Vice vibe to the whole adventure. To be honest, I didn't watch that show in the 80s because in 1984 through 1989 I was already working late or working on homework or going out on Friday nights. Combining these two and a little research into the 10,000 Islands, I found a way not only to isolate the team from Kit and Airwolf, but also explore the characters as human beings and not just extensions of their stuff. First, I wanted to create islands, but I already had a bunch of these cliff face crafts that I made inspired by a DM Scotty video attached in the comments. However, these have proven to be rather versatile and useful. I have used them to make multi-tiered mountains, tunnel walls, underwater caverns, all kinds of things. Looking at them again, I thought they could work as islands as well. Coupled that with the concept presented in the original V miniseries, The Visitors Are Stealing Your Water, made the aesthetic of these things as islands more real. I laid out the two planned 10,000 Islands encounters, which ended up only being one, using these cliff faces, and I felt I was missing something. Beaches. If the visitors are taking our water, the water would start to recede, and I felt like that was a cool way to not only craft something, but also immerse them into the setting. I had some spare packing foam that would work perfectly. I placed my new islands on top of this foam and traced out what I thought would work as a beach. And I used my handy hot wire foam cutter to smooth out the edges and give them a more natural look. I used Mod Podge, sand, and black paint to base it out, and then lots and lots of crafting paint and sponging to get that dirty, sandy look. I show in these pictures one large island with what looks like a fort. I had planned on that being the final end game, but things changed, and that will probably be the ending scene for the trilogy that I have planned. Adding to this whole setup, I had a bunch of natural scatter terrain made from aquarium plants and various other dollar store plants and miniature Christmas trees that I painted up to be regular trees. And so placing those on the islands gave them life. A couple of other crafts that I ended up doing because this was going to take place more in water than on land. I printed 2 speedboats and I also printed several jet skis. I realized then that I needed some kind of apparatus to show that these jet skis had pilots, and I wanted to use the visitor miniatures on them. So I ended up going back in my big bin of Mage Knight bases and pulled out several of these double-sized miniature bases, flipped them over and pulled out the click, and ended up using them as sort of a doubled base for both the jet ski and the pilot. In the end, after the playtest, I consolidated things and only had one encounter in the islands, and so I put together a single island. I also had several other crafts that I ended up doing for this trip to Mythic Con, and I'm going to split those off into 2 more videos after this. So, until next time, always remember, seek the wolf in thyself.